the first 45 minutes or so of this call or hour or however long Johnny wants, we're just going to go through a MIDI drums lesson and just really to show you guys the foundations of creating drums using MIDI, all the getting started kind of things that we need to know. And yeah, Johnny's going to have fun with it and just
Yeah.
go over all that fun stuff. And I managed to record it to record it this time, so we're good. I found out that I actually have to hit record again after I have you approve me. So that's what happened last time. I
So
had to
we're
hit,
good
hit the
now with.
button twice. Yeah, we're good now. It's recording.
Are you guys hearing a latency on my voice at all, or no?
No, we aren't.
So if
I'm
I
not.
do this, if I input monitor, then
Yeah,
it's
when you do that, it
Oh,
does it.
yeah.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
just keep it like this, then we're good.
Yeah.
Great. I hope that's clear coming through the. Um,
Yeah, it sounds good.
Mhm.
You could
Great.
you
Awesome.
could gain yourself up a little bit more too, your vocal.
Let me just put a utility gain on it then. Check. It's all right. Nothing's clicking.
A little more.
Hello. Check. Yo. Wow, that's like way up there. Hey. This even has a cloud lifter on it too.
Oh, is it gained up more on your interface too?
Oh yeah.
It's cranked up.
It's cranked.
Um,
Check.
that's good.
Okay.
That's much better.
All right, then let me
There
take
you
this
are.
down a little bit more. Hey. All right, cool.
Perfect.
So yeah, this is basically gonna be a redo for the capture. Um and Patrick, remind me again what type of music you're in.
Um, working in Logic. I've been doing a lot of like electronic music recently, but um, I'm looking to do more kind of like singer songwriter, kind of folk, kind of type country acoustics type stuff.
Okay. Um, let's do Logan, which one you want me to do first? You want me to do like the
Let's just do the just acoustic drums starting out, and then we can expand into other things from there. That
okay.
sounds good. And you could do like Easy Drummer maybe or something that looks kind of like it.
Yeah, I don't have Easy Drummer on this one, I don't think.
Oh, that's okay.
But the Logic one, stock, is always great.
Yeah, that also is great.
So I like this one. Um, I don't really ever go through much of the. I only have this kit loaded in here, but you could load if you are getting all of the sounds from Logic. Um, with this you can get a different kind of.
It'll function the same, yeah, as if
Yeah,
you're working in Easy Drummer or whatever.
yeah. Okay. So singer songwriter. If we've got our drums here. Um, do you guys find it easier if it's like just drums by itself, or would you rather me pull in like an acoustic loop to help kind of like see what it is like to have drums underneath acoustic?
Maybe a loop, yeah, or just something,
Yeah,
Fine.
it would be
Yeah,
cool.
loops are nice.
Okay.
a loop or bass line or
Here's the guitar.
that was cool.
You guys want a cooler one than this? I know this is just kind of like whatever.
Oh, that worked. That
Yep,
was
it was cool.
cool enough.
Cool enough. Cool enough, man.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. Right. So what I'll do is just kind of start with a kick. Get this shimmer out of here. You don't need that. Let's just go real simple for this. Two cats, two cats, cats, cat. And it's like, all right, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I just want it to be real simple.
Pull your buffer rate down a little bit, Johnny.
Oh, is it lagging?
A little bit, but not too bad. But I think you could.
Wait, up or down? I'm at 64 right now.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, if you can do 32, but that might be too much.
I don't think this
on the
does this fit
systems.
I don't think this goes to 32. Oh, it does.
Oh, well, we'll see.
All right, it's gonna
We can
blow it up.
We're really testing your computer right now.
Yeah.
What's up, Daniel? Welcome.
Yo,
All right, guys.
how's it going?
Yeah.
He's starting up this month, and Robin, you're not alone anymore. He's also in Pro Tools
Yes,
and
finally.
getting that hopped in on the Windows. So
Yes.
I'm going to help you get that software set up, Robin. I figured out how to do that.
Oh my
Just so you can share your
yay.
audio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
we'll
I'm
get
at
it.
68% for the waves right now, so it's going.
Oh, that's moving faster than I thought. Nice.
I went to get a spiced apple cider. I came back and
It's moving. Awesome.
And downloading the Waves stuff. Oof.
It's so much, so
So
much stuff.
much, dude.
I tried to download Pro Tools and it crashed Finale and all this other software I had. So
Oh, that checks out.
Logan got me back up going.
Yeah, we just had a setup call, getting that all running.
Yeah.
So it should be golden now.
Yeah, that stuff's not fun. All right, so going back, excuse me, Daniel, we're just kind of going back through all the acoustic stuff. So this time we put a loop in.
He's going over how to start with producing with drums, like MIDI drums, how he would kind of start building a track out with it.
Is that lagging for you guys, or is that all right now?
It's a little better. Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Also, I'm not, Daniel, I'm not an Easy Drummer right now. I'm just in Logic's version of their drummer, and it's pretty compatible with it's not as intuitive as Easy Drummer might be with what all you can get into, but good enough for what we're showing right now.
Okay.
Let's put a clap in there, and then maybe like a rim shot the next one. Just kind of keep it a little different each time if you can. It might not work on this one. It might. Let's see. I don't think I like the rim shot. I like the clap and the snare together.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe this snare works for the second one. Yeah, I definitely don't like that rim shot. It makes it too dry. So
Yeah.
probably want like a crash when it comes in. Take that velocity down. Like, let's say this is the intro of a chorus, or if you want a chorus that maybe isn't the hat, then I would just take this. But then it's so like dry with that. I'd go in and make sure, okay, this is where we get into the velocities again, of like make it have some feel to it.
You're just manually editing all of them.
Yeah. You kind of just imagine like you'd be playing drums. Let's do this a lot faster.
Oh, are those all in the green? Is that all the velocities? I've not used Pro. I was using Studio One.
Oh yeah. So these are most MIDI roll is going to be able to have something that you can open up your velocities like this.
Okay, yeah.
And
It'll
then
be
you
the
can go
same
in.
as in Pro Tools. Yeah, this is Logic, Daniel, but
Oh, okay.
it'll look the same. You just double click on the MIDI clip,
Yeah.
and then you could move the velocities.
So let's just do that for now. And now we have enough different velocities. What are you guys using for like perks and stuff?
Really just Easy Drummer right now primarily, or Logic stock
Okay.
drum
Do you
set,
guys,
or
do you guys have anything? I don't think Easy Drummer does this, but I really like this right here.
oh, what is that one? Or that
This is
VST?
by Skaka called Klevgran. Klevgran.
Staka.
SKAK.
Skaka.
Klevger.
Is that paid or is it a free one?
I paid for it. I don't remember how much it was. I think it's maybe like $100 or something. But so let's say
Spitfire Labs too might have some kind of percussion. I think it does some percussion drum set. So you're basically separating everything out, all the pieces of the kit. Like you're gonna walk through. How do you know like what to separate out, and like why are you doing it that way?
So I'm gonna separate my kick. Hang on one second. Let me do this. This is gonna be drums tempo. So I'm separating out my kick and my snare and my hats. Because when it comes to mixing these, I want to have separation and control of each frequency and compressing it differently. So, right now, if I turn this on clean, I don't want to hear anything other than this. Whoops. I just want to hear this kick drum and then be able to manipulate it. I like Logic's stock compressor for some of these kicks. That's like more singer-songwriter. I like this this FET live drum sound. Got a soft clip on the distortion over here.
Yeah. Which is similar to the LA-76, right? I think it is.
Yeah. And so then with this too, like you guys would go in and probably pull the Waves version of this. But I would use this SSL one, which is, again, you have this in Waves.
It'd be the
I think it's just
the SSL SSL
G
channel.
strip. Is it the G? No, it's a G comp, not the G comp.
The G comp would be the compressor. It'd be just the SSL channel, and you'll see it
or something like
under
that,
Waves. Yeah.
So I'll go through here and be like, all right, I don't want this to be so snappy, so I'm gonna find that frequency. It's pretty snappy there. Pull it down. So without. That's without. That's with on. Just a little more dulled. I'm gonna keep doing that. Like, okay, over here.
So what's the difference between the green, the red, and the blue dials? How do you know?
Okay, so sorry. Yeah, let's go through that. So this is your high frequencies.
Okay.
I'm gonna crank this up to 20 dB, and then these are the frequencies: 7K, 8K, 9K, 10K, 11K, 12K, 13 goes all up to 22K. And so
Okay.
that's the high end of your spectrum right there. And so if you're listening to that right now, I'll sweep through. This is my very high end. You can see it's turned all the way up so I can hear which
Yeah.
frequency it is.
All the air is up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And nothing you're not really gonna hear much up here. Probably more around here. All this stuff. So maybe I turn that down a little bit, 4 dB. So this is my dB reduction, gain reduction, whatever you want to call it. And then again, I'm doing the same thing in the high mid frequency range. Frequency, it's a tough word to say. Frequency range. The 4,000 and up, kind of looking for that over here. And so I did was, found where it really snaps. So I'm just, what I'm doing actually is, let me show you guys what it actually looks like on another one. It looks like me doing this.
Yeah, it's a good way to explain it.
So that one right there kind of like shapes it better, and then you go to the other one to kind of like balance it out a little bit more.
Yeah, this one is like,
It's a visual
get it.
EQ.
Yeah, and let me get like a little bit more of broad strokes on this one. And then this SSL is just going to add a little more character to the drum. It's
So
gonna
then when
have-
you, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
No, you're good. Keep going. Yeah, it's for
you
you
set
guys.
the green ones, do you set them in relation to themselves, or do you set them in relation to the red ones and vice versa, so on and so forth?
So it's just basically what I hear in that frequency. If this is like if I'm hearing too much of that, I'm just gonna scan where it really is like harsh, and then pull it down.
But does that matter? Like, is that dependent also upon where the red dials are set or the blue dials, or no?
No, they definitely. I mean, they're gonna work. You want a good blend of, but it just depends on your ear of what you're trying to get. So like, if I wanted this to actually like say I did put too much snap on the high end, maybe I pulled it out too much, and I wanted a little less, then I'm gonna go back in and be like, oh, now I want it 6 dB instead of 3 dB, because that's what it's like.
I said,
Then I come down.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm new to all this kind of stuff. So
And again, it's good to have a good kick reference too. If you're like, okay, I want this to sound like Post Malone's F1 Trillion album, and there's a lot of those kicks in there you want to pull. I would just have that looping, trying to like really get that sound and listening for what it is. And then, mess around with your EQ, your compression, and you might find that you want some a little more low end on it.
okay.
Walk through again what those all are, the sections.
Yeah,
So
okay.
HF is the high frequencies, and
High
so
mid
on.
frequency over here, and then we have our low mids over here, which if we're on, this guy is going to be like this stuff over here, low mids, and then we get into like our low lows over here. So this is like all this stuff over here is our high frequency, this area. I'm gonna cut off some of that, and then we have our like kind of our high mids, low mids area, and then we're going into our low lows.
It's the same thing, but just in waveform is what you just did. Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's kind of a little bit of a it kind of makes you rely more on your ear than visual, of like trusting what you want to hear versus thinking what you want to see.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It can be an easy crutch to fall into just using like visual EQs. I did that when I first started producing. I just used visual. And then one of my mentors forced me to EQ with this, just like a channel strip. And I actually got better at mixing doing that because, like Johnny said, you rely more on your ears.
Yeah. So. And for like, when I'm doing dialogue or singing, I'll use this probably more for that. But when it comes to instruments, I'm going to kind of come back to this. And sometimes I will with vocals, like for fine tuning, I'll put some of, this type of stuff on there so I can carve out some stuff. Like the API is great for that. But anyway, so yeah, we have high mid frequency, low mid frequencies. So if I boost this, you're gonna hear all that. That's
Oh,
your low mids. It's all the way up to like 2K. So I don't really want that snap. So I'm gonna take it down. And then with this right here, this is your like curve. Your how broad do you want it? If I go up, like you can see right here, it's like a broad. If I get real surgical, I'm gonna pull it this way, and it's gonna be real narrow. And again, what that looks like on here is taking this and changing the Q to be small or wide. And so that's what this is doing right here. It's just widening it or making it smaller. Like, if you want to really notch some stuff out. So with this off, here's with it on, off.
oh,
Just I've lost all that snap. That's like, if you're going for something that needs snap, sure. But if like let's say it's just acoustic and your voice and very simple elements, you probably want this to sound a little more rounded out, like you're in a live room.
yeah.
It's just a little more easy on the ears. And then I'm gonna kind of do the same thing with hats. And with hats, this is not the right way. But what I like to do is just kind of start with like a broad stroke and then bring everything else in and then see where I want my hats. With hats, I need to hear everything else. So like right now, I'm like, all right, this is too much. My tambourine is too much. Let's get rid of some of this. What I'm actually gonna do is add a little distortion on this. I used a decapitator. And I'm gonna make it a little darker. And then I'm gonna actually with tambourine, I like to pan them just slightly to the right. So then now I'm like, all right, let's get to the snare. I want to work on the snare a little bit. I don't really like the way it sounds right now. So also what I love with Pro Q3 is you can do this. Just hold your mouse over it and it's going to show you all the like problem areas kind of popping out. That nasty bit right there or this. Pull that out already. Get rid of that. So then let's throw this back on there. And sometimes, I don't know how much you guys are doing with this, but I like to go see what some of the pros are doing, like pull in. Let's see what this Clint Murphy snare sounds like. So I think for what I'm going for here is probably too thin. Probably too thin. Don't want that smack. Be a little dull there.
Is that basically a mixer? The solid state?
It's just I wouldn't call it a mixer. It's just an EQ. Really, you're just kind of carving some space out. But you can get in here and like you can do some compression on here and stuff like that.
You can do compression on that one too, yeah.
Yeah. I don't really ever mess with it too much. Like if I want to mess with the release, I could, but keep it pretty tight.
Sometimes engineers do like using this plugin because they'll EQ and compress like all in one
Yeah.
plugin. But you don't have to do that. You could have it separate.
And I could also like pull this compressor down so it's not so much in the mix. So I could bring it back into taste. Here's full, without, full. And then here's without the EQ work. So then now we hear that. And I probably want to put a little bit of room verb on there. Let's put a little, bring that down. Let's go to the decay. And so this is just messing with the high cut here on that frequency. You can see if I go, this is cutting out a lot of the high end. If I bring it up here, we're gonna get that high end back in. So it's important when you're looking for your verbs to kind of figure out, do you want a lot of high end on it? Do you want less? And with that, that's kind of here with. Then also the depth of everything. The depth of the verb. And again, this is all to taste. And remembering too that if you do have someone who is going to take it to the next step, it's getting it, like if they're going to mix it for you, it's getting your snare to sound as close to what you want it to be. So when they hear it, they can like even make it better, or they don't have to work very hard to recreate it. Because some engineers like to have you take all the verb off your snares or your kicks or your whatever and like send it dry and let them recreate it based off of the reference track. I don't know how much you guys talked about that, Logan.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. But it all depends. You know, every engineer is different. I have the engineer I use, he's like, yeah, just send me the way you want it to sound, unless it's vocals. Vocals is the only thing I'll ever send dry. And even with that, I send, you know, live audio effects on any vocal. I'll send it wet like that. But so any questions so far on how this looks? Feel good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good.
And then what I would do is we have everything go into a bus. So I look at my drum bus over here. I actually want to switch this out to have something a little warmer. I use Plugin Alliance. Sorry, Logan, I'm using all the things you don't have, or they probably something that gives you a little more saturation on it on that final bus.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put some warm glue on it. And
There are
then
lots of
just
alternatives and waves that I can help people find. But yeah, like you could use the, I don't know, Kramer tape with waves, a bunch of other saturation plugins out there.
Hey, what's a bus?
So
Great
bus is
question.
basically what he's sending it to. It's
So if
also
I
called
click,
like an aux channel, and you can go into it, Johnny.
yeah. So I'll show you. So all of these right here are my drums. I want to send them instead of going stereo output and putting it to like my final mastered out. I want to send it somewhere else first. I want to send it to its own channel strip that I can control the overall sound of the drums. So I want to be able to shape drums being the kick, snare, hats, and perks all at once and shape that sound. So I want to go in first and do what I just showed you guys, like get each sound to individually sound the way they should, and then send them all down to a bus so I can glue them together a little bit better.
Gotcha.
And with that glue, I can add some character to it. I can add it to, I can add distortion. I can add this.
You could
We
throw
actually
the
talked about this last
SSL.
time. I was gonna say the magma tubes is about like
That's a
this.
popular one with waves. Yeah.
So like this, if I just hold the drums. Also, the other thing that's nice is, you know, I'm not mixing my stuff. I'm sending it out. But when I need to like pull down all of these channels, I can do that and let the vocals sit up where they need to sit up. And I can pull down and I can automate, everything so that it's all the buses are, it's not, I have control of all my instruments and it's not overpowering my vocals, and I can pull things down as needed. So listening to this just as is, without anything on the bus, is what it sounds like. Adding saturation without, with. Just a little slight glue on there. And actually before Magma, I would probably throw on. See, this is why I hate UAD. I switched over computers and it's like, oh, you don't have any of our stuff right now. And I do.
Which one are you trying to do?
I just want the API. I want this one. 2500 compressor.
Oh yeah, they have that one too with waves. That's a good one to show.
But it's not. Yeah, start.
You could do the SSL comp. The do you have that one? The
in waves.
yeah, the
where
if you go down, this is the one that's in my template too. Yeah, the SSL comp there, stereo.
Great. Okay.
And I have all the buses in the template built out, so that will look familiar to them.
Cool. I've never used this one, but let's learn together.
If you go to presets, then go to there's a cool preset that I just throw on.
Cool
oh wait.
Good guys on here.
We'll go to the presets and I'll show you which one that it's just like default on the template. Where is it? Click default preset in the middle. Do you see that?
No.
Higher. Default presets. Well, like above the meter.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Oh, I don't see it on the screen. That's what weird. Never mind.
You don't see this? You guys don't see the plugin?
We see the plugin, but not the preset.
Oh, really?
Popping up. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
You can just do. It's the Chicky or Chicory.
Richard Chicky.
Richard Chicky subtle glue. That's the one. That just always works really well.
Okay, cool. So let's listen without anything again. Here's a little bit of saturation. Here's with comp. A little more life brought into it. And now with the magma tubes, we can adjust this. A little bass relief in there. A little more life. Yeah, that's nice. And then all together. So, yeah, once it goes to this channel setting over here, channel strip setting, you can make this look however you want. If you really wanted to pump the drive, make it real. If you wanted to get a little grittier with it. Also, let me do this, dude. Let me get rid of like half these plugins we aren't using right now.
Got so much stuff in there.
I know, it's my.
Is that your main like starter template?
Also, yeah, it has not been recording through my microphone this whole time.
Oh, that's okay. We hear you through Zoom, yeah.
All right. Yeah, so what I'm in right now is just like my trailer template for what I'm working on. Projects that they can get up to like 130, 140 freaking tracks.
Especially that cinematic pop stuff you do. So much.
Oh god.
So many tracks.
So many, dude. I know I'm in trouble if I get to like 120 and I haven't put any vocals in. I'm like, I made a mistake. I gotta go back and start changing. I gotta start deleting some stuff. All right, so here we go. That's without all that stuff. So you can see it definitely adds a lot more energy and life into your mix. It adds, the goal is to try to get as real as you can make it sound if you don't have a real drummer. And then, the next part of that, I don't know, Logan, if you want me to go into this, what I would do is if I'm not like loving my snare sounds, probably find a snare library pack. Let's just go sample. That's what I want. Let's go snares. Let's just see what this one sounds like. Label, because labeling is important, and your mix engineer will appreciate. Output bus go 1. You could really blend this in if you wanted to. It's real low. All right, what do you guys like better, with or without? Here's loop it. Here's with.
Yeah, it makes it punchier.
I like it with it.
Yeah, I like it with it too.
Nice and punchy.
Yeah.
So you're basically just making a replacement snare, just blending it in.
Making
Smart.
Giving a little body to it, or it's got a little different snap on it. And again, I probably won't touch too much of the, maybe some saturation on it, but not even like. The other thing is too, Logan, I know, I don't know if you talked about this, but like sometimes I think we put plugins on and we have to turn all the knobs, and like you'll be sitting in a studio and like they'll just plug things in it just to get that sound and not touch anything on it. And I think you can remember that too, of like throwing a plugin doesn't mean you got to know, like you got to turn it all. Sometimes just to get that character out of it, can kind of be helpful. So like we can see the difference between what that snare would sound like between two different
saturation plugins.
Yeah.
So
turn the drive up. Why is it not? Oh. It's so subtle, but it's adding just a little bit of air, a little bit of life to it, and you're not.
Yeah, you really don't need to do a whole lot with the decapitator.
Like the loop trotter is thinner. I like the decapitator better.
Yeah, me too.
And then so now I'm like, okay, I like just what that sounds like. Can I get a little dirtier with it? And then what if I do this? I'll take the mix down.
Oh.
Make it dark. And if you want to get real cute, I saw this one engineer. He was saying this. He's like, if you want to get cute, you can like move this like two over of where you'd actually be like line of sight seeing that snare, like just right here, you know. But you don't have to do that. It's you can hear it, but it's just the smallest little change. Again, you don't have to, but if you're trying to make things as right as you can, then you know you could even take. All right, where are you going to hear the hat or the ride? Well, if you're looking at it from the stage, you're going to hear it on your left. Some people are the other way though. Some people like to actually hear it as if they're playing it. So like for them, the ride would be on their right. I like to imagine what I'm seeing, especially like with strings. Um, Depending on where it is on the orchestra, that's where I would place the strings. And so with drums, I'm like, okay, if I'm looking at a drummer, you know, his hat's gonna be on his left, but it's gonna be on my right. But the ride is gonna be on this side. So here's center. So a little bit to the left. Or if you want to hear it on your right. But then now we also know that the tambourine is on that side. So let's just bring it back this way. Now we get like just the smallest little width of like a real setting. But I don't know, Logan, you could also be like, I hate that as an engineer when someone
No,
gives you that.
that's no, I do the same thing. I usually pan the hats a little to the left and then the
Yeah.
tambo to the right, like 30% or like 30-40%.
Oh, you'll go that far, really?
I do like 20 to 40, but it just
Okay.
depends on like the song and what just sounds good. It sounds great though. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Cool. Any questions about like the plugins and stuff that is tripping you up, or how and when to use them and know what to reach for?
Well, I guess
Yeah.
knowing what to reach. Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, I was gonna say that was my next question. Like, how do you know when to cut it, what not to cut, all of that stuff. So,
I wish there was time. The time has really taught me how to sit and listen. And again, that's where reference tracks are so important, is listening to yours versus theirs and getting like familiar with those frequencies and knowing like, okay, I don't hear any snap in that kick. And you'll start to learn where that snap happens. And then it's different. It can be different for every kick. It can be more on the high mid frequency. It can be coming out of the low mid. But listening to the reference, finding where yours is lacking in comparison, you'll know where to start dipping as you're sweeping through frequencies and everything. And it's kind of just that. It's practice, it's time, it's reps, it's doing it over and over and over again, so that eventually you can kind of get to a point where you just know what you want and you can go into like Pro Q3 and start pulling stuff in, and then open the SSL and moving stuff around a little more surgical. But it's also to taste, like sometimes, especially in trailer music, it can be weird because you might pull in like a low gong drum and you might search for a frequency that you want and it sounds really disgusting, but you can manipulate that if you put some distortion on there and start, it just depends on the song, what you want to do with the frequencies. So as you start, developing your ears to hear that, you'll start figuring out what to pull.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
yeah, that's thanks.
Yeah, and just knowing what drummers do on stage, like you mentioned, helps a lot for just
Yeah.
drum kits in general. And one thing that I never thought about before I started working with drums, was just knowing like how the crashes happen. And like if you think about a drummer, it's not physically possible for a drummer to hit two crashes and also a hi-hat and a kick. And so just thinking about things like that, like, oh, if two crashes are happening, then probably the hi-hat stops right there. But
Yeah.
for pop music though, sometimes it doesn't matter.
Well, here, that's great. Let's do that. So like, where's our hats? Let's do. Oh, come on. a crash if I hit that. All right, so if we had that, these two crashes, which would be right, but if we added in like this, where you can, it's like hitting the hat. You're not gonna hear it, but like if even if it has like a softer, if it was a softer song, you might actually hear that ride in there. And it's like, well, that's not possible. You can't do that. Same thing with toms. Like if you've got like if you're doing like tom rolls and you hear like the hi-hat like clicking away, you're like, you can't roll and play the hi-hat like that at the same
Right.
time. So you kind of, yeah, Logan's right. You really got to think through what's happening. And again, that's why I say watching the live version is great because you can see what they're actually realistically playing. And then when you do that, you can go and listen to. There was another song. The Yeah Yeah Yeahs did a song. What's it called? Spitting off the edge of the spitting off the edge of the world or something like that. And when I watched it live, I was able to decide by listening to the studio album what was samples and what wasn't by watching live. Like, oh, okay, that I don't need that part to be real drums. That's actually samples. So that also helps too.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Any plugin questions anymore? You guys feel pretty strong, like pretty good on those. Good. All right.
I like yeah, we can go into whatever else you wanted to touch on. I think this one is mainly just meant for kind of getting started with MIDI drums, so and more on like the production side. So if there's anything else you think of that might be good to know whenever you're just building a beat out,
Yeah.
And if not, it's totally fine.
I think the only other thing depends on how cute you want to get with it, but you could always, have more fun with perks. Let's see what we got rolling here. Don't do this. If we go into like cycles, here we go. What's this? Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like once you set up everything you want to set up, you balance the frequencies, you set each drum track individually. Now you can bust it, and now you can like really just mess around with like a bunch of endless sounds to really shape it how you want it to be.
Yeah, and for singer-songwriter, you probably won't go too crazy, but if you're in like we talked about Taylor Swift, her producer is a guy named Aaron Dessner, and he is in a band called The National, which is very indie and just really great. And you can hear a lot of that production style in her singer-songwriter stuff, like the more of the folk stuff. So if you're doing stuff like that, or like Gracie Abrams, you're gonna have a blend of that real drum sound, but he's also putting stuff in there that's like let's go. So like let's record that. Let's just do this. Sorry, also I'm moving slow because I don't have a mouse. I'm on the trackpad and I never work like that. Drums. See drum loop. Okay. So then now what's this sound like?
For those who don't know, can you show how you exported that sound?
Oh yeah. Why is it not?
Sorry to be annoying.
No, you're good. You're good. But why is it not like it sound like it's in sync? Let's find one that's actually like in time. switch that. Okay. So Control B is bounce in place on Logic. What's the? Well, I always forget what it is in Pro Tools.
You can just right click on the plugin itself in Pro Tools and then hit a commit up to this insert. So just commit up to this insert, and then that'll bounce it to an audio track for you to
Yeah.
use.
And so I like doing that because it's sometimes easier to mess with audio than it is with MIDI. If I wanted to do anything like chop this up, I couldn't really do that in a MIDI. But with audio, I could chop it up however I want. So this is bus to the right bus. I'm going to put on a little, let's see, let's put on some Pro Q3 here. And let's put on, what delays you said? H delay? What you guys are rolling with?
Yeah, usually H delay is a good one.
Okay.
Or yeah,
Let's go H delay. That's alphabetical. Duh. Let's see if they got some cool drum. Oh, let's see here. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm looking through, can you? Let's go blur delay. I don't know what that is, but all right, let's see what it sounds like without it. I'm curious what a tremolo would sound like on this. I think we did something like that last time, but where would tremolo be here?
I just saw it multi-effect.
Maybe, yeah, multi effects. Oh wait, where'd you say?
Modulation tremolo right there. Low.
Oh, there you go.
it's down. There it is.
Wow.
Yep.
I love that. Creates a lot of width and
Yeah.
adds a lot to it.
Just some texture, and then immediately it kind of turns into a little bit more indie than being straight, just down the middle. And I love messing around with that kind of stuff because there's so much samples out there that you could use. We talked about Robin. You are in output, arcade. And if you guys all have arcade, this is a great one. That I was showing you. The particles is really nice to get into some stuff like that. But for something like this, let's go to instead of hats. And then let's do that. All right, so then I probably want to darken this up already, I can tell. So let's do this. All right, I'm gonna record it. Again, just gonna bounce in place this. Come on. Control B or whatever you'll be in Pro Tools. Drums loop. So now let's connect that. So then now with that and like this, that's kind of cool. Then you have this loop. And then with this stuff, you really want to make sure they're not like poking out too much. So we're going to come in, get a little more.
Eventually, will you just write a melody over this with your own with the melody?
Yeah. Are you saying, will I write a melody over this or?
Well, that's where I get lost sometimes. Sometimes I'm dealing with I like I'm putting in the loops and then like I get confused as to because I'm not really writing the loops, so I get confused as to then how to insert a melody that I'm wanting to write over. Does that make sense? I get lost in
Yeah. Oh, no. So, okay, that's great. 'Cause what I would do then is like I would actually recreate whatever splice loop I brought in. I'd pick up the guitar, I'd play different chords. It's like, hey, you know what?
Oh, okay.
I try to recreate as much as I can. Like today, I was even working on a project where I got the producer and artist. She sent me her Logic file, and it had splice samples. And so my goal now will be to kind of try and recreate those, so I'm not taking a splice sample and putting it into the sync world.
That's what that's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't use this. I would just use this as if pretend I wrote this guitar track right now.
Okay. Okay.
Think of it more like that. Not necessarily like I pulled it from Splice.
Just
But
for inspiration.
yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what I was asking. That helps a lot. Thanks.
So then yeah, I would like, well, hang on. Let's an F sharp major. So, I would just play. I would put in a bass. I'd start with the bass. I'd probably put on some Rhodes. I would think of like what I would see at a live show. I would see maybe a Rhodes. I'd see the drummer. I'd see the guitar player, and I just start layering those in on top of it. Plug the bass in, make it maybe a little thumpy with it. Doom,
I hear
doom,
you. Yeah.
doom, and whatever you want it to be. Um, play the acoustic guitar for it. Start putting in some pads, and then you'll be cooking once you get all
Okay.
that going.
Cool. That makes me feel a lot better. Thanks.
Yeah. The toughest thing too is you remember like it's like Legos, man. Like you don't like build the Millennium Falcon Lego all at once. You can just it's layer by layer and layer and layer and layer, and then you have the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so let's just say I did write this acoustic guitar. I would start with acoustic, like I wrote this riff, and then I build the drums around it, and then now my next part would be
Oh, okay.
You're
Yeah.
starting on the chorus too, right, Johnny?
yeah,
Whenever you
like
start
this.
building out drums.
Yeah, this would be my chorus. So like, let's say again, I wrote this acoustic. This is me. I played this. This is what I woke up and wrote this morning. And then I dropped it in, and now I'm building my bass around it. And then now I want to start putting in let's put a bass in. Let's see. Let's just so I Spectrasonics on here. Yeah, but I don't have that.
Live Omnisphere.
What are you guys using for bass?
I use Trillion, or I mean,
Trillion's
you could pull up the Logic one.
Yeah.
Or I mean, they all have bass fingers with waves, which sounds pretty decent.
That's in here.
I don't know if you have it or not, but
I'll just do Serum for now.
yeah,
This is be a little too digital, but
you could do the Logic session player. I don't know if you have that one.
Where would that be?
Go to your library sounds, I think.
Studio Horn Studio Stream, quick sampler. I don't know
Go
where
to
it is.
instruments down there. AU instruments
Oh.
and Apple.
No, it would show up. I don't download the Apple like stock stuff. It's just like you can probably get more than this.
Oh yeah.
So
I
I
know
might
there's a bunch
not.
of stuff in library, but you'll have to
Yeah,
download it.
it would be like, oh, well, maybe I do
Oh,
have it.
there it is. Bass and
Yeah, I
then
don't have any of it downloaded.
but those don't sound super. Yeah.
No, these are fine. But yeah, I would go in, I'd add the bass,
You
or
could just
I'd
do the
play.
Serum. That's totally
I'd
fine.
Yeah, I'd play it maybe on the Moog if I wanted a little more live feel. I think
Okay.
always the more you can, put the live bass in, do that. If I was to play bass, I'd reach for that, and I'd layer them. I'd probably put the Moog and put the bass guitar together, see what that sounds like, and then, excuse me, um, yeah, put a Rhodes in there, my piano, maybe find another weird sound on, um,
And then you keep building it out and building it out.
yeah, and like it depends on how crazy you want it to get. But if you went in and let's say we did have all our bass and piano in there too. That's just playing the block chords just to keep us. I'd go in here to maybe like taped or something. Actually, I'd probably. All right, so I'd go something like this, or F sharp major. So I like this one. Wow. So this sounds like total chaos right now, but don't worry, I have a plan. We're gonna take this. We're gonna make it. This is, again, making textures in there that just kind of sound cool. This is gonna be synth. Let's just call it the drone for now. And actually, I'm like, hey, I think this sounds the best at the end. So I'm just gonna loop that. I'm gonna highlight all this. Oops. And can I fade with this? Yeah. Fade them all. And you got your bass.
Yeah.
Just start building it however you want it to be, but make it have fun. That's
Cool. That's really cool.
this does a lot.
Really does. I love that sound. It's cool.
This is your verse, like.
Just did that in Serum.
No, this was
Arcade.
this was arcade.
Okay.
Found again. This is probably one of my favorite things. I wasn't using it right when I first got it. I was trying to like build songs with it and find like bass parts. And I'm sure you can do that and it can be great. But for my application, I realized that it was good for me to find like weird samples and patches that I could manipulate and make my own and do some fun stuff too. Um, so that's what it's just, yeah, little tremolo on there to give it some movement. But now if you put a bass on that and you put if you put a bass on that and you put, maybe like a simple Rhodes, it's gonna sound pretty nice.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah, man. Layer by layer.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how you build out the chorus first and then seems like you kind of deconstruct it and you like reverse engineer that for the verses.
Yeah, so like, yeah, let's say we're gonna go. Let's say this is my 8-bar loop. Take this and put it here. Oops. And then I'm just gonna do the scariest thing of all and just start deleting stuff. Let's see what all can I get rid of. Like I said, if this was a guitar I'd recorded, I would get rid of it and I would finger pick the beginning instead of it being this strum. But for now, let's just go roll with the strum. Put this drum up here. So like, it's and then what I would probably do honestly is I would go here for my like, let's just say this is the intro. So immediately in that intro, how I operate too is like once I know what my chorus is going to be and I go backward and start building, I'm only working in like 8-bar or 4 to 8-bar sections. So
Yeah.
with this intro, immediately I'm like, okay, I hear something that I want to be in there. So I'm gonna go to Ink Audio. There's got this Nash dude. I don't know if you guys want to get any more plugins, but Ink Audio, this Nashville kit is fantastic for singer-songwriter stuff. It's not very expensive. I think it's like $80 and you get like these really nice plugins that sound really great. That's not what it sounds like. Hang on. Let's get this to the right bus. Not you.
There might not be a simple answer to this, but why some tracks do you have input one and two, and then other tracks just input one or just input two?
Like this one.
Yeah.
So input two. That's just my microphones going into input two, and then this one. Some of the inputs are just their stereo. So like right here, it's telling me it's a stereo track, that it's linked, and it's not just singular. I don't know. Does that answer?
Yeah, I've been told before from friends who are other producers that you usually want to do stereo instead of mono.
It depends. It's really really up to what you're going for or what I mean, like if I plug in a guitar and go straight through, it's going to be a mono signal. Especially if I'm running through analog pedals, like most pedals are mono. The Moog is going to be mono. Like a lot of bass, you're going to want mono, especially you want that like knock right in the middle of your head. You're going to want your bass and just hitting you in the middle if you're doing trap music, especially. You don't want, so like you could start stereo, but a lot of people will go get Wave stereo imager and they're gonna drop that kick to the center or the bass to all the way to the center or make it pretty tight. Maybe not exactly dead nuts, but it's gonna be pretty close. Um, Vocal, sometimes it's nice to have them recorded in mono or record in stereo and then go to mono. Like I was working with this one guy who he had it mono all through the verses, and then the choruses it all opened up to stereo vocals. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So um I
It
think I'd
changes
be,
the sound a little bit.
yeah, I'd be careful with the what's it called, the absolutes. in this game of like never do that, always do this. I'd be careful of running with that mentality because that limits creativity, I think sometimes. Of like, oh, never put verb on the actual vocal. It's like, well, why? Like, what if it's just
Mhm.
I want it for this song and it's just me and a piano and my voice and I want to put verb on that and it sounds really good. And what if that works? You don't want to stifle any kind of creativity like that. Because you could do some really cool tricks with mono to stereo, and you could and if it sounds awesome, who cares what. It's not
Yeah.
it's all subjective. Everyone This is all make believe anyway. Just floating on a rock. Um Here we go. Let's put this verb on here. So this is just if I had a mod wheel, I could bend it, but let's find the right key. Don't put this online, Logan.
I am. I'm putting it on.
Let's go down. So it can be simple like that, just 3 notes.
Mhm.
So then I'll bounce that, and that's gonna be my GTR. Yeah, swell.
Yeah, it's cool.
Um,
Guitar swell kind of vibe.
yeah, and then do I have? Yeah, this is the buddy right here.
Oh, there you go. Some big sky.
Yeah. So, activate, yes. Don't look at my password.
Oh, I can't see it.
I know. Okay, so let's see what like some bloom can do on here. This is a reverb for those of you that don't know. This is walk into any church and you're gonna find the actual pedal, the big sky pedal that's on most guitar players' keyboard or pedal boards. This is a big fan favorite for guitar players. So now I'm in my verse. Let's bring back the swell. And then maybe we bring in just like, whoops. Maybe it's no snare yet, but it's just kick. That's the pre. Now we're going to the chorus. What if I stay? I don't know, whatever your melody is. And then I would kind of figure out where I want to go from there. Okay, if I want, let's go back into this. This would be out of the chorus. We'd hit verse 2. And I just copy and paste chorus over here. And then I'd probably do a double chorus on that actually. And where are we at time wise? 205. Then I would drop into a bridge. That would probably just be the instrument, like the acoustic. And then grab one more. Oops. Don't want to export anything. So then there's like my whole structure. And now I've got, over almost a 3-minute song, which is great. So I'd start with that. Like this would be something that if I'm writing with an artist, I could give them this at the end of the write session and they could go do scratch vocals for me. And then I would spend a whole lot more time putting the vocals in and kind of rearranging some stuff. If it's like, all right, I need to build up, like, I know I need this to be built up more. Like, I'm like, okay, but the artist knows this kick drum signifies I need to build my intensity a little bit more as they're going to record. And so I'm really just kind of giving them bare bones. Even myself, if I'm writing to this, I know like, okay, I got to ramp up a little bit on the vocals here. And you're just building out your skeleton for them. And then once I get the vocals back, it's like sometimes deleting half your work and starting over and adding more stuff that you probably didn't hear, because sometimes the vocal delivery changes everything you're working on,
Yeah.
Once you get that back from a vocalist or yourself, even you can be like, that snare's too harsh for my voice, I don't like it now. All of that's going to be very much determined by your vocal delivery.
Or my voice is too harsh for the snare, and then I'm fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're like, man, this is like an aggressive song and I've got this like, wimpy little indie snare going on, and let's make it thicker.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. You just created a song real quick there.
Yeah. And it's nice too. The faster you get, the more you can work with artists or clients if that's what you're trying to do, and like get song ideas out faster with them. But yeah, any questions on this? And like, I know I moved pretty quick through that.
I just had a quick question. So you were saying that if the vocal was to change, the idea of the song, how would you kind of build it, or like what would you add to it to kind of make that change noticeable?
Yeah. Let me give you an example, actually. So I am working on this cover that it was the one I showed you I was in last time, but it's changed a little bit since then, but I'll show you what I mean by that. Like the first, so here, this might be interesting.
I don't mean to. I have to hop off. I gotta go pick up. Sorry, guys, cut out.
See you, Daniel.
Good,
thanks for hopping on, man.
Thing.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good night.
So this is the instrumental that I sent her. So the beginning of that is what I was listening for. When I realized when I got her voice, I was like, I'm missing piano. Like, it's sometimes it may be just simple as that of like, oh, I need to add a piano in there. So by the next round, the last round was this. That piano's in there now. Put more of the more like creepy swells to fit her voice. But at first I didn't really hear that until I heard her delivery, and I was like, oh, I need a piano in there. I need these like weird horn swells that are kind of moving across the landscape of it all. And then that turns into this.
This bloody road remains a mystery. This sudden darkness fills the air.
And then again, we go back to V1 instrumental. It's just subtle differences, like the lack of piano in this one I don't like. I'm like, oh, I don't hear the piano. I don't like that I don't have too much movement in there like the other one. So that's what I mean. Like it can change, the performance can change it a little bit. Because you could get something back on this one, and I'm like, oh, we actually don't want live drums at all. I want this to be sample drums. Like I want to hear that kick that's like almost like an 808, like 909 kick. That's a little different. So yeah, does that answer that?
That does, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Johnny, thanks, man. That was amazing.
Yeah, I hope
was
the
super
audio
helpful.
was not crazy weird because it kept coming off of this guy here. So
No, it sounded fine. Yeah, I could
okay,
hear
cool,
you, so hopefully it came through in the recording. Thank you. It was good.
awesome.
But yeah, man, awesome explanation on how to build a track out. And yeah, we'll be continuing on with like just production kind of things and soundscaping and all that stuff. But yeah, we could end it, and then I could either stay on and help Patrick and Robin with whatever, or I want to help Patrick with that UAD drama thing happening. Just
Good
see what
luck, man.
see
Good
what's
luck.
happening with that. But let me stop the recording here so we snag that.
Let me